Stellar scars. The grand hall of the Veldian matrimonial exchange hummed with activity as various species mingled, seeking compatible partners through the galaxy-wide program. Emira stood alone, her violet skin adorned with the intricate scarification patterns that marked her as a high priestess of her people. On Veldia, these patterns resembling delicate constellations carved across her face. Shoulders and arms signified beauty, wisdom, and status. Yet here, among the other species, they had become her isolation. Another rejection? Her attendant Dorva approached with sympathetic eyes. Emira nodded, watching as the Arcturian diplomat who'd just declined her proposal disappeared into the crowd. Apparently, my markings remind him of battle wounds, not conducive to diplomatic relations. This was her 7th rejection in the exchange. The Veldian Council had sent her as their representative, hoping to forge stronger alliances through marriage. Yet none seemed to appreciate what her people valued most. "Perhaps we should return home," Dorva suggested. "The council will understand." "One more day," Emira whispered, smoothing her ceremonial silver robe. "The exchange ends tomorrow." Across the hall, Nolan Reed adjusted his Earth Commonwealth uniform, feeling out of place. As a cartographer mapping the outer colonies, he hadn't planned to attend the exchange. But his commander insisted that diplomatic visibility would benefit their mission. "You look like you're plotting escape routes," laughed his colleague Bennett. "I am." Nolan sipped his drink. Mapping uncharted regions is simpler than this social labyrinth. That's when he saw her standing apart from the crowd. Her violet skin adorned with mesmerizing patterns that reminded him of stellar cartography. Unlike others who averted their eyes, he found himself drawn to the intricate designs. "Who is she?" he asked. "Veldian priestess," Bennett explained. "Been rejected repeatedly. Their sacred markings don't translate well across cultures. Shame Veldians are brilliant terraformers." Nolan approached her, captivated not by diplomatic opportunity, but genuine fascination. Those patterns, they're like the Casparian Nebula from certain coordinates. Emira turned, surprised by both his approach and observation. "You're familiar with astronomical formations?" "Cartographer," he explained, introducing himself. "Nolan Reed, Earth Commonwealth." "Emira, High Priestess of Veldia." She studied him curiously. "Most find my markings ... disturbing." "They're beautiful," he said simply. "They tell a story, don't they?" For the first time at the exchange, Emira smiled. Each pattern represents a journey. Personal, spiritual, astronomical. Our bodies become maps of our lives. They talked for hours. Nolan described Earth's oceans, which Veldia lacked. Emira explained her people's connection to stars. When the evening ended, he asked to meet again. "Tomorrow's the final day," she reminded him. "Then we shouldn't waste it," he replied. Later in her quarters, Dorva noticed her mistress's changed demeanor. Something happened? Perhaps Emira touched her facial markings thoughtfully. A human who sees patterns where others see scars. She slept, dreams of Earth's oceans, places she'd never seen, mingled with the familiar constellations of home. For the first time since arriving, she looked forward to tomorrow. To seeing the cartographer who read her markings like maps to undiscovered places rather than warnings to stay away. Dangerous transit dawn brought chaos to the matrimonial exchange. Emira hurried through the corridor to meet Nolan, her ceremonial robes exchanged for practical travel attire. Behind her, Dorva carried a small bag of essentials. "Admiral Jackson's guards are searching all departing vessels," Dorva warned. "He's furious about your rejection of his proposal." Emira's refusal of the Veldian military leader after meeting Nolan had ignited a diplomatic incident. Jackson, accustomed to adoration, not rejection, had declared her choice of a human over him an insult to their species. "The council is divided," Dorva continued. "Some support your freedom to choose. Others fear military repercussion." They reached the service bay where Nolan waited beside a woman with a captain's insignia. "Emira, this is Captain Petra Navarro. She's agreed to help." "My cargo vessel isn't luxurious," Petra said, "but it's fast, and Jackson's forces don't monitor commercial routes carefully." "Thank you." Emira turned to Dorva. "Return to the council." Tell them I've made my choice. They embraced quickly before Nolan guided Amira aboard. The vessel's interior was cramped containers of terraforming equipment, leaving little space for passengers. Petra and I mapped the Vesuvi sector together, Nolan explained as the ship rumbled to life. She owes me for identifying a gravitational anomaly that would have crushed her ship. No, we're even, Petra called from the cockpit. Strap in. Departure won't be smooth. The vessel lurched, then accelerated sharply, pressing them against their seats. Through the viewports, Emira watched her homeworld shrink, having second thoughts. Nolan asked gently. She traced one of her facial markings. Each journey becomes part of our pattern. I'm curious to see what design this one creates. Their gentle moment shattered as proximity alarms blared. Petra's voice came sharp over the intercom. Military vessels approaching. Hold tight. Ship dove, banked hard, then accelerated with punishing force. Equipment shifted dangerously as Petra executed maneuvers too, erratic for pursuing military craft to predict. During one violent turn, a container broke loose. Nolan lunged, pushing Amira clear as it smashed against the bulkhead. They fell together, his body sheltering hers. Are you hurt? He asked, his face inches from hers. No, the word was barely audible as the ship continued its evasive dance. They remained entangled as the vessel stabilized, neither moving away. His fingers gently traced a pattern along her shoulder, following the scarification there. This one, he whispered. What journey does it represent? Coming of age. When I dedicated myself to spiritual leadership, their conversation created a bubble of calm amid chaos. She described the ceremonial knife, the sacred inks rubbed into cuts. He listened without judgment or disgust reactions she'd grown accustomed to from outsiders. On Earth, he said, some cultures had similar traditions. Body modification as art, as story. Injured people abandoned these practices. Some preserve them. Others find new ways to mark significant moments. Petra's voice interrupted. We've cleared Veldian space. But Jackson's not the type to give up easily. Nolan helped Amira to her feet, their hands lingering together. We have options. Helios Station first, then perhaps Earth. I know nothing of Earth except what you've told me, and we'll discover it together. He smiled. I'm a cartographer, remember? Exploring unknown territories is my specialty. That night, in the small passenger cabin they shared by necessity, Amira watched Nolan sleep. This human who saw beauty where others saw barbarism, who risked his career and safety for someone he barely knew. She wondered what pattern their intertwined futures might create, and whether they would survive to see it completed. Haven in the Stars Helios Station loomed before them, a massive wheel of light and metal against the darkness of space. As Petra's cargo vessel approached the docking bay, Amira pressed her palm against the viewport. Mesmerized by the multicultural hub where thousands of species coexisted, "It's beautiful," she whispered. Nolan stood beside her, their shoulders touching. "It's neutral territory not aligned with Veldia or Earth. We should be safe here while we plan our next move." Petra joined them, her expression serious. "My contacts confirm Jackson has issued alerts throughout the sector. You're described as a kidnapped priestess and Nolan as her abductor." "That's absurd," Amira protested. "I left willingly." "Truth matters less than power," Petra replied grimly. "And Jackson commands Veldia's largest fleet." After docking, they moved through crowded corridors. Amira pulled a hooded cloak tighter, concealing her distinctive markings. The station's diversity overwhelmed her senses. Spices, languages, beings of all forms mingling in chaotic harmony. "I've arranged quarters in the diplomatic sector," Nolan explained. "A former colleague owes me a favor." Their temporary home was modest, but secure. It's a room apartment with automated systems that Amira studied with fascination. That evening, Nolan brought food from various Earth regions, watching delightedly as she experienced each new flavor. She savored a piece of chocolate. Extraordinary. "Wait until you try ice cream," he promised. Days passed in peaceful discovery. Nolan showed her Earth's literature, music, art downloaded to his personal device. She taught him Veldian meditation techniques. their hands intertwined as she guided his consciousness through her culture's spiritual pathways. One night, he traced the patterns along her arm. "Would you tell me about this one?" "It commemorates my first celestial navigation," she explained, shivering slightly at his touch. "Every priestess must guide a ship by starlight alone." His fingers followed the intricate lines to her wrist. "And these? My parents' constellations? We carry our ancestors with us." Their eyes met. Slowly, giving her time to withdraw, leaned forward until their foreheads touched an intimate gesture in both their cultures. "Where I'm from," he murmured, "we remember significant moments differently. Photos, journals, trinkets. Your body tells no stories?" He smiled, rolling up his sleeve to reveal a faint scar. "Navigation accident in the SETI quadrant." Another along his jawline. "Childhood fall into Earth's Pacific Ocean." Her fingers found each mark, creating connections between their different types of patterns. When her touch reached his face, he captured her hand, pressing his lips to her palm in a gesture that required no cultural translation. "I want to know all your stories," she whispered, "and I want to be part of the stories yet to come." He replied. Their moment of connection shattered when Petra burst in. "Jackson's scouts are on the station. They're searching sector by sector." They gathered essential supplies quickly. As Amira packed the gifts Nolan had given her, books, a small earth plant, a music device, she realized how quickly he had become the center of her universe. "We need to separate," Petra advised. "I'll create a diversion near the commercial docks. Get to Bay 94, a transport leaves for the Earth colonies in 3 hours." Nolan took Amira's hand. "Are you certain?" "Once we reach Earth, returning will be—" "My patterns already contain this journey," she interrupted, touching her markings, "and they have space for many more." As they slipped into Helio Station's crowded promenade, blending with diverse beings from across the galaxy, Amira felt strange certainty. Whatever dangers lay ahead, the patterns forming between her and Nolan, invisible but more significant than any scarification, were worth every risk. The hunters trapped the transport. Departure area buzzed with travelers when Nolan and Amira arrived at Bay 94. They kept their heads down, Amira's cloak concealing her distinctive violet skin and markings. Nolan's hand rested protectively at the small of her back as they navigated the crowd. "Something's wrong," he murmured, scanning the security personnel. "Too many guards?" Amira followed his gaze. "The uniformed some aren't station security." "Veldian military," he confirmed. Jackson sprung his trap well. They retreated to a service corridor, hearts pounding. The transport to Earth, their escape route now, seemed impossibly distant. "Petra would have warned us if she could," Nolan said, checking his communication device. "They must have detained her." Lemira's face hardened. "This is my fault. I should surrender myself." "Absolutely not." Nolan grasped her shoulders. "Jackson will never allow you to simply return to your position. Your rejection damaged his pride. This is about control now, not diplomacy." A door slid open nearby. They tensed, ready to flee, but the figure that emerged wore the distinctive uniform of Helio Station's security chief. "Commander Toru," Nolan breathed in relief. "An old friend." Toru's expression remained grim. "Friend enough to risk my position." "Veldian forces presented official kidnapping charges. They've detained your captain companion for questioning." "She's innocent," Amira insisted. "I know." Toru checked the corridor. "Another Veldian is helping her. Follow me quickly." Die. They hurried through maintenance tunnels, descending into the station's rarely seen infrastructure. Toru led them to a small chamber where a woman waited, a Veldian, with diplomatic insignia and facial patterns, almost as elaborate as Amira's. "High Priestess," the woman bowed respectfully. "I am Karis's diplomatic attached to Helios Station." "You're risking much by helping us," Amira noted. "Many on Veldia oppose Jackson's militaristic ambitions," Karis explained. "Your defiance has become symbolic. Some see it as abandonment, others as brave resistance."
Ow.
Nolan interjected. "Can you help us reach Earth?" "Official routes are watched," Toru replied. "But this station has unofficial options." They detailed their plan: a maintenance vessel, ostensibly conducting repairs on the station's exterior, would rendezvous with a passing trade ship. The risk was substantial detection meant capture, space exposure if anything went wrong during transfer. While preparations continued, Nolan and Amira found themselves alone in the small chamber. The imminent danger stripped away pretense. "We're separated," he began, but she pressed her fingers to his lips. "We won't be." She removed her cloak, revealing the full extent of her markings in the dim light. Then, with deliberate movements, she began unfastening his uniform jacket. "EMIRA ... Among my people," she whispered when facing potential endings, "we create meaningful patterns together." Her hands moved to her own garments. "I would have this connection with you, Nolan, whatever comes." Their bodies met her violet skin against his tanned human form. His fingers traced her markings with reverence while she explored the subtle scars and textures of his body. They moved together in the universal language that required no translation, creating a moment of perfect understanding amid chaos. Afterward, wrapped in each other's arms, Nolan whispered against her hair, "Whatever happens." "That wasn't goodbye." "No," she agreed, her fingers tracing invisible patterns on his chest. "It was a beginning." When Toru returned, they dressed quickly and followed him to the maintenance airlock. Suited for extravehicular activity, they prepared to cross the void between vessels. "The trade ship will take you to Junction Beta," Toru explained. "From there, Earth is one more jump." As they stood at the airlock's threshold, Amira looked at the humans risking everything to help her. Nolan, Toru, and somewhere on the station, Petra. She thought of Karis and the Veldians who supported her choice. For the first time since leaving home, she felt not just the excitement of escape, but the responsibility of representation. "Ready?" Nolan asked, his suited hand finding hers. She nodded, and together they faced the stars.